back to our connection. I'm Joanna. This is the second half of a conversation with Dr. Maggie Placer um, for Health from EveryCat Health Foundation. Last week we explored the One Health concept, and discussed the discoveries in veterinary medicine how they can have implications for human health in today's conclusion. We continue that conversation by looking at antiviral research, including how treatments developed to help cats um, uh, are helping researchers better understand potential approaches for long COVID in humans. If you missed part one, I encourage you to listen to the episode first for the full context. Now let's rejoin the conversation with Dr. Maggie Placer.
Yes, happy to be here. Thanks for
welcome back. Yeah,
wanting to keep things going. It was great to talk to you, and it's important stuff.
Yeah. So, where does the research currently stand?
Yeah, so we kind of what we focused on more so last time is that antivirals that were developed to treat HIV, say in the 80s, some of those were able to be used to see how they could benefit the cat world in the treatment of feline coronavirus. So that research helped cats. Also, in time when when the human form of the coronavirus, COVID-19, was an issue, they were able to look at what was learned in the treatment with the use of antivirals in cats and help with some immediate treatments for COVID. So that has shown a promise, sure, for the human side, but focusing on the cat side, that has shown promise in treating a disease that was fatal for cats. So when some cats, when they're infected with feline coronavirus, develop a condition called feline infectious peritonitis. It was always fatal. It affected kittens. It was very heartbreaking. So the use of antivirals in that case that were first developed on the human side, as most drugs tend to be, benefited cats, and the research on cats later, decades later, helped humans. For that condition, FIP, which is due to a virus, we are now looking at different antivirals. Not every cat responds to that same drug, just like on the human side. Sometimes you have to try different antibiotics for the condition you have. So as far as FIP, this once fatal disease, goes in cats, we now have found a few different antiviral drugs that can be used, a few different protocols. At first, cats had to get injections that stung. Now we're able to find a pill, which, as we talked about, is not always easy, but we're also refining how long they have to get it for the maximum benefit. How can we minimize side effects? And then because we were treating cats for feline coronavirus decades ago, we were able to see, okay, once they're treated for this virus, how does follow-up go? How does their life play out? That connects with the long COVID question. When we have people that have had coronavirus, human side, what can we expect after their treatment with antivirals or the longer term side effects? So for cat diseases and antivirals, that's kind of what we're really celebrating, that we have them legally. We're able to have them and sell them in the US now. That was a few decades hurdle as well. Research was done, things were promising, but we hit some hurdles as to how do we get it to cats. Of course, always bringing costs down is a goal so that every cat has a chance to benefit from these advancements. We also touched on last time, so cats have FIV. There's a few antivirals that all sound like kind of alphabet soup. FIV is like HIV, but in cats. So we're also there right now. We don't have a cure for that. So it's spread by bites and saliva into wounds. So that one is one that we don't have a cure for. We used to think, oh, a cat can't live a long life with it. We're realizing they can live a good life. You might just want to have them checked out twice a year, or if you can, keep them inside because their immune system has this virus. So while it would be nice to have a cure for those cats, because sometimes, or you can imagine, a shelter finds out a cat has this certain condition, it can be harder to place them. And then also having that virus doesn't help your immune system or help you necessarily thrive. But thankfully, we have been able to say it's not a death sentence. It's something that can be worked with. The other major virus we see still plaguing cats. It's called a feline leukemia virus. It doesn't necessarily cause leukemia, but it is one that having it can increase in a cat's rate of cancer later in life. It's another one that we don't have a cure for and can be spread through cat saliva. So not necessarily a wound, but we call it a kissing disease, licking each other. Those two, FIV and feline leukemia virus, are two where we continue to look at how can we treat these cats. Because you can imagine if you have an infected cat in the outside cat population, it spreads, it shortens their life. There's unnecessary suffering. So we in the cat side have a long way to go with the viruses, with other viruses we want to tackle. We are very excited that we have found treatments for FIP, which we really had no options for at one point. So hope that covers everything. That's like a main cat viruses that plague us in a nutshell.
Hmm. So, what's the biggest challenge researchers are still face?
I think, I mean, easy questions like answers to things like funding, but I would say that I think I appreciated some of the questions you threw out or ways to think about this, and that I think it comes down to people hear research, and I do too, and you're kind of like, oh, that sounds stiff, or I hate the idea of a living thing being uncomfortable. So what it's important to realize, and I still am a general practitioner. I love cats. I would never want an animal to be hurt unnecessarily. What we are doing, what we're the engine for, is helping these animals. We are animal lovers. Nothing crosses into funding that hasn't been evaluated for valid science, but also for the ethics of cats aren't harmed. And thankfully, as science progresses, we're able to use, say, a biopsy from your cat that you electively had submitted and continue to test that same sample. We're seeing different universities and labs across the world pool their data so that they can say, okay, oh, okay, this cat has this virus strain of this. Well, we have a sample of it. Let's test that one. So research is becoming more of like a health studies is the nicer synonym you could say for it, but in what EveryCat does, and we would only partner with organizations that the benefit of animals is at the forefront, and that doesn't mean that other animals suffer for that advancement. So I would say the maybe negative connotation that research implies an animal is in some way harmed. That's something we've thankfully I would like to believe as a world, but I know that's naive, as at least our organization make sure that's not part of this. This organization was started by cat lovers that said we need to know more about cats, and then we will only fund things that are right for cats on all fronts. So yeah, I would say research, some people hear it and they're like, I don't like to think of anything. I mean, cats are hard to please in general if you're doing everything right for them, but we definitely are not in the business of funding and supporting something where cats are in any way set back in their quest for happiness.
Yeah. So, I do appreciate the work you guys are doing because 95% of our conditions don't have an FDA approved treatment. So, we're kind of grasping at straws anywhere we
Right,
can get
right,
it.
right. What I
And
appreciate, I guess I like the questions you ask. They get me thinking in different ways, and that I would like to thank through your platform, I guess, cat owners and lovers and people who are, I call them like cat converts opening up to cats because the demand for cats things being done well, I guess as consumers want something for the things they care about, we are seeing more of the pharmaceutical companies working towards there's an injectable pain medicine for cats that's once a month. So those people who maybe have the research capabilities and the funding to steer studies, may dogs live long and have great lives. Cats, they need to know that there's a market for that. So
mm,
when people engage and celebrate and love their cats, and the business people see that, it's a way for the kind of research medicine machine to say, yeah, those cats really do have advocates, since they can't talk for themselves. They have advocates that want the best for them. Let's use our resources to make that happen. So it really is important that people know that people want to champion their cats, and then it seems the market, or I'm far from an economist, but the businesses are meeting that demand. So it's good that
mm,
people know how important cats are to people.
mm-hmm. So, what excites you most about this
Yeah,
work?
yeah, yeah. The fact that I mean, if you boil it down, the fact that cats can live longer, uh, healthy, playful cat lives, awesome. And then the people who love them can enjoy them longer, awesome. Human animal bond, all that's great. And then this kind of what got us to meet each other is the fact that some of the work we've done as a bonus could help another species. So it all goes to this collective pot of studies where, the coronavirus has spanned different species. Medicines have an applicable or use in multiple species, maybe for different conditions. So we are contributing to the greater good of the human side, sometimes the canine side too, or maybe a koala bear could benefit from something too. But we're contributing to research that can help the world, and also while helping our primary focus species and those that care for them. So I'm excited that, just if you boil it down, every cat's been involved with things that have made cat lives better and lives better for the people that care about them. So
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like I've never had long enough with my pets. And so the fact that I've had more time because of the efforts of this organization, that's more than a thank you card. I don't know how to thank them enough for that. Because we
Yeah.
do say what cat owners and vets know about cats is, I mean, we don't claim all of it. We're happy to work with other people, but taking it back, some of the early things, just the fact that I probably mentioned this last time, but the fact that I think 60 years ago, cats and dogs were fed the same food, and then cats were getting sick. Research was done to find out that, oh, here's my cat Bobby. She might make an appearance here. That cats needed taurine. They have their own nutritional demands. That saved hundreds, thousands, countless. Right now, the fact that cat food exists saves just, yeah, it just so many cats would have not lived long, died young, suffered, struggled if that hadn't been discovered. So it really took people saying, hey, not only do we care about our animals and we are sad that we lose them before we'd like to, what can we do about it? And they actually did something about it that's grown now for 60 years, to allow, my first best friend was my cat. For me to have my current roommate as my best friend, my cat. So I'm able to enjoy this pleasure because this friend of mine, because of the work that EveryCat's done. So
Mhm.
yeah.
So many of my listeners are living with rare diseases or are searching for treatments. What lessons can they take away from this story?
Yeah, I would say that as a veterinarian, I always, people will say, "Oh, Dr. Google, whatnot." I think, knowledge is power, and the internet, depending on what you're using it for, is an asset. So I think that do your research for your own condition, ask all the questions you want to ask, and then, I mean, and this is maybe, pie in the sky, but ideally find a practitioner who's going to listen to what you're saying, who looks you in the eye, who's patient, who engages with you. And then why not say, oh, this has been tried in this species with success. So we get to a certain point, on the veterinary side, we kind of have always had to be a little bit more of MacGyver, or make things work, because not everything is cleared for every species. We have to kind of
Mhm.
maybe disclose to you, like, hey, this is an off-label use for the cat. If you agree, we try it. When pro cons, it's the best play. So do what you can to feel to feel educated. I'm sure, like, I mean, the vet world has it. I'm sure they still have it for like diseases like FIP when people felt helpless, and community support. I'm sure that's tremendous. Um, Go where you're heard, and yeah, just advocate for yourself. I got to say, I mean, I recently moved. My dad had dementia, long illness. He recently passed, but and I have a lot of wonderful physician friends. I was just personally surprised. I thought that they really share a lot of information and network, and I thought things would be smoothly, like every doctor would know what the previous doctor had did. It wasn't always that way. I mean, I personally always want to, what records can we get if we have any? Maybe that's because the animals can't speak for themselves, and I'm kind of grasping for, well, okay, well, what was the weight 2 years ago? Just to see little trends. But I really hope that anyone, looking out for their own health or the health of their loved ones, feels supported. And I mean, in veterinary medicine, we have plenty of things. We don't have the cures we'd like to have, but I can only imagine the frustration and stress when it's your own health.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say, well, take a look at what's been done in other species. That's what brought us together, is that, I mean, when COVID hit, the people who had to come up with the medicines had to look everywhere, but why not, look for yourself? If you need more resources, you have public libraries have some access, but universities would have more, to say academic journals. So I feel like that should be within your state tax rights to go
Hmm.
to academic library if need be.
Hmm. Maybe this is a little bit off topic, but how how is the how are the medications regulated through when
So like the how does the FDA
how,
go
yeah,
in?
how do they get how do they get approved with animals?
That's a good. So it's so we have the same FDA regulations essentially.
Hmm.
I know there's as far as exactly, I haven't been a part of the exact protocols that they require, but when something is approved, it has to be essentially it's the same standard but specific to the species. So I really
Hmm.
can't. I don't know more about the details on that.
Yeah. Um, what role? Let's see. What role do nonprofit organizations like EveryCat play in moving innovative research forward?
Yeah, no, and again, that's a question I appreciate as I get involved more in this work, because again, I was a private practitioner, kind of
Mm-hmm.
primarily feline focused for the past decade. If you think about, so say a company says, we promote this cat water bowl, and their work, say the research was done at a university, so it sounds objective, it's a university. You never quite know, um, did the business pay the university directly? So the idea of an
Mm-hmm.
objective filtering body whose focus is the best for cats and to reiterate what was mentioned, I believe, last time. So we gather about, I think we're up to about 30 specialists that look at all the proposals that we get twice a year. I call it like a super Zoom. They all weigh in. We assign certain reviewers who are strong and say a cardiology proposal has a cardiologist as the primary reviewer, but they all look at all the proposals. And so we have about a 4 or 5 hour Zoom where everyone says, we rank things. Where can we do the most good for the amount they're asking? Is the budget accurate? Where could we do the most good with the funds we have? So because these specialists are volunteering their time, if it's a study at, say, their university, they're excused during that study. We do have industry advisors that sometimes weigh in just because they know what's coming and whatnot. If a proposal, if the applicant says, I'd rather industry didn't hear about this proposal, they're removed from the conversation. So it's very much a what is best for cats, specialists volunteering their time, no bias conversation. So when we kind of have, if you will, the EveryCat stamp of approval, or we choose to fund something, we're not getting a benefit from a company or whatnot. We're saying, hey, this is really promising for the benefit of cats. A lot of times, as we see some researchers are very focused in a certain area, we thankfully have that institutional knowledge to say, oh, yeah, we know Dr. Seymour is great in feline kidney research. So it's very much a people with good intentions for cats together without personal gain, promoting what is best for cats. So we kind of so to answer your question, we're like the an unbiased in between, say, industry or the pharmaceutical companies and a research. I mean, they could do their own research and promote it, and you say, okay, I hope it's good for my cat. Also knows what is or whatever is selling it. And it may be wonderful, but having kind of that unbiased stamp that says, we're not getting anything from this, we believe in it with our specialist that, or if we paid them, I guess what they would demand, it would be, something would not be feasible. So the fact that people that care, volunteer their time and are experts in their field really makes something that gets through our filter promising for the right reasons.
Hmm. So, for someone interested in supporting feline health research or One Health research more broadly, how can they get involved?
Yeah, so well, everycat.org is our website, and we do welcome volunteers. That allows us to do more than we can, as we're a small staff of about seven. Two of us are part-time. We're all over the country. We do what we can regionally. We get together once a year as a board and staff to kind of check in person. I mention that because we can't be everywhere at every cat show or cat lover event. So having more, say, people to work at a booth and promote the fact that we exist is very helpful. So we welcome volunteers, but there's no certain criteria as to what the volunteer would do. If someone's happy to share their experience with their cat and their cat's disease, or if someone's more comfortable editing an article, whatever skill set you would want to share with us would be tremendously beneficial because we want to kind of get everywhere and be everywhere, but also channel the funds we have towards the research. So it's this balance of volunteers help us to almost supplement the power of our staff to promote the organization while still putting the funding towards the studies, which is the engine or why we exist. So volunteers are tremendous. We welcome them, and then I'm sure in the whole One Health world, I would say wherever your passion is, I'm sure there's an organization that would welcome your financial support, sure, if that's there, but also time. I imagine they're all kind of in the same boat as us. The idea that you keep staff and overhead only where it has to be, and rely and welcome passionate people that are willing to donate their time, which is the most valuable thing I think there is, for the cause. So I think that yeah, within the whole One Health world, whether you're plant focused or champion a certain disease, just get awareness out there, share something on social media. I think anything you can do for the area of One Health that you're most passionate about, there's got to be one. And if feline medicine is your passion, please consider volunteering with us in any capacity. So.
So, looking back over your career, what accomplishments are you most proud of?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say just personally, as I've worked as a kind of a small animal practitioner or feline practitioner, there's moments when you were able to really give a person hope, or in the case of suffering, give an animal and family peace. That's been most impactful on me personally, those kind of one-on-one individual situations. And so that's just Maggie's life. As far as the every cat world, when I say I'm at a booth or a CatCon, and you hear people come up and say almost thank you, my cat's life was saved because of this. So just seeing that it hit the real world, that it isn't just black and white and graphs and charts and grant funding and all this, the administrative tasks, to be reminded that it translates into what we're all about, the cats benefiting when they're hard to please, but cats finding a way to benefit cats, to meet them where they're at, so that they have more good cat time, and the people that love them and can come to the booth and tell us about it have more good cat time. So some of the highlights of my life as a veterinarian have been helping people when I could, the human and the animal. That's kind of what's my passion. And then on this greater scale for cats, seeing that the work that we've been able to facilitate has resulted in that individual benefit for another vet to be able to say, we once couldn't cure this, now we can. Or, in this case, just I think when a veterinarian is doing what our oath is to do, then they should be living their purpose as well. So the individual experiences have always been most enriching for me. And with every cat, I'm realizing that I'm able to be kind of a behind the scenes administrative person for things that will trickle down in 10 years to help vets talking to cat owners to help in those individual circumstances. So we got to kind of keep the wheel turning. Like, as we need these advocates that say, okay, we know what we know, and that's great. So much more to learn in feline medicine and human medicine. Let's keep it going so that things continue to, almost like planting a seed for a tree you'll never see, so that things continue to come down the pipe for cat lovers to benefit from. So I think that's kind of my two-sided thing. What I've experienced face to face, and what I see came from those before me, and what I have a chance to help going forward.
Mhm. So, what's one thing you wish more people understood about veterinary research?
Yeah, yeah. I think we touched on it maybe before, the idea that it's not what we're talking about. What every cat does is we are cat lovers ourselves. It's not out to, I think, if, I mean, I was been vet focused most of my life, and then I've been in that world for over a decade. My knee jerk when I hear that is, they're doing stuff to animals to help people, and the animals are being potentially harmed. That's not what this is. This is advocating for the species, and thankfully, they've had to, and we should. The standards have risen that you want to do this work, great. Find a way that's not going to hurt animals, that use what is already available to potentially benefit the species. And the researchers, that's why they're they're smart people in their field. They have to find a way to do things the way we require them to. So veterinary research, again, maybe it's just me. I had this negative connotation of hurting animals to help people, or even hurting animals to help animals. It's thankfully we've become a society that where we regulate and also just have ethics that make sure that what is done for animals is still of the animal's benefit. The animals that are being if yeah, this is it's not a ends justify the means situation. It's a what can we do with what we have? Thankfully, the technology has helped this too to help cats and not at all compromise our standards. So veterinary research is a good thing that helps animals, and sometimes, like what brought us together, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
helps other species too.
Mm-hmm. So if you could change one misconception people have about cats and felines medicine, what would it be?
Yeah, in the vet world, we say it a lot. Cats are not small dogs. I think owners are starting to hear that a lot. And I think anyone, I think a kindergartner could say that's a cat and that's a dog. So I think I do believe if we take a step and realize that it's great when things can be used, the antiviral research we did help the human side, that's great. It is best, though, to always stop and say, this animal is unique, and he may have a human type name like Kevin or something, and he may have personality traits like a person, but that doesn't mean you should give him Tylenol. There's medicines that people may take that would be harmful for animals. So just remember, every species is unique. That's why we need champions that's why this was developed to champion cats. There were animal nonprofits supporting research, but it's tough when you divvy up, well, we want to help horses and cats and or dogs. That divides kind of the pot of what we can do. So 60 years ago, cat lovers said, hey, let's focus on this species that we care about because they are unique. It's great when things can be shared. Let's see if the research shows that. But let's start off focusing on what we care about and see where it goes. So I would say that feline research is necessary because felines are unique. When things can be shared between species, fine, that's great, but they are unique. And so just I would tell a cat owner to say, despite how human-like your animal may be, always realize it's best to call a vet. I wouldn't just trust the internet on that. Just call a vet to run it by them before you think, oh, this should be fine. Realize there's still a line between species. When things cross, it's after significant research has been published. So feline research is necessary for cats. Also, again, what brought us together is that in this case, it helped what feline researchers found help the human population.
Hmm.
Mhm.
So how do you keep the animals from getting hurt while researching?
Yeah, so the studies we're funding are not like cats in cages and things. It's more so so if someone signs up for a trial, like electively, like say a cat has a cancer and there's no other treatments, things like that, so the owners would
Mm.
elect it. Um, Also, there's things like one study looked at so feline leukemia virus. We You can imagine, so say you have some feral cats that are hard to test, or even in this case, it spread into zoo medicine, large cats. That feline leukemia virus, it's usually a blood test. What one of our researchers has been looking at is, could we test saliva? Meaning, could a cat lick, say you put a little piece of paper on top of a treat so there's a good smell behind it, and they lick the paper? Could we test that for this virus versus restraining them to draw blood, which is stressful for the animal, dangerous for the caretakers? So things like that, things that are not necessarily the animal's best interest is at heart, meaning these animals are feral, they're at shelters, we need to know if they have this virus or not. If there's a less stressful way than either sedating them or holding them down for blood draws, licking a piece of paper that smells good to them anyway, and getting an answer from there, that's promising. So most of the studies, I would say, do not deal with live cats. It's kind of those like they sign up for a trial to advance research. Like I think if a human had a condition and wanted to try what may be cutting edge through the university or institution, situations like that where the cats are trying to be helped by a shelter and we're looking for a less invasive way to get the samples that help them to be placed. And then a lot of times If you say your cat, you did a liver biopsy on your cat and it was submitted to a lab. Well, their technology has allowed us to basically grow more of that same tumor in a petri dish. I think it's called an organoid or a tumoroid in that case, and test diseased tissue from the sample that was stored. A lot of times at universities, say you take your cat in and they draw blood, excess blood from the animal could be stored for these potential uses in the future with your I guess if you sign off on that. So it's essentially using what is already collected to benefit individual cats, offering cats kind of cutting edge or last ditch treatment options. Oftentimes, it's samples that the cats would give anyway. We're trying to test more cat poop. They offer that sometimes twice a day. Just things that it comes down to if we're creative and with the advancement of technology and and brilliant people who have their research, but also cats' welfare at heart, we come together to be creative to make sure that cats aren't harmed while we're trying to help them.
Hmm. So, so I hope today's conversation gave you a new appreciation for for the One Health approach and incredible ways human and veterinary medicine can learn from one another. A special thank you to Dr. Maggie Placer and the team EveryCat Health Foundation for sharing their time, expertise, and passion for advancing research that has the potential to benefit both animals and people. We truly appreciate you joining us for Rare Connection. Um, if you joined this episode, please consider um, subscribing, leaving a review, and sharing it with someone who has interest in rare disease research, infectious disease, veterinary medicine, or long COVID. Every share helps us connect patients, families, and clinicians, researchers, and advocates around the world. Um, Next time on Rare Connection, I'll be talking with, I'll be taking the podcast on the road. I'll be recording an in-person episode. This is my first in-person in Pennsylvania with two of the ambassadors from the National Organization for Rare Disorders. One from Maine and one from Maine's the following, but I'm doing New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Together, we'll discuss rare diseases, rare disease advocacy, supporting families through the diagnostic journey. As always, thank you for listening, and thank you for your support for supporting Rare Connection. And remember that every connection has potential to change a life. I'll see you next time. I'll see you in the next episode.